Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, OG ain't late. OG here. He right here. My watch say 6:30. Actually, it say 6:31, so maybe I am late by a second. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Running good, Ian. How you doing, brother? Not much, Josh. How you doing, brother? Running good tonight. Running good. Hey, Jillian, how are you, dear? Mm-hmm. Agreed, steady. Absolutely. Not much, King. How you running, brother? You good tonight? Word. Yo. Running good tonight? Okay. Yeah, let's see here. Absolutely steady. You're absolutely right, my man. So, uh, weird ass season, B. But it's been weird in a good way, though. So, Hood TMZ, what's up, brother? Running good tonight? Oh, let me answer this question real quick. Can you explain? Can you mind explaining box office one more time? Box office means a guy who you enjoy watching the game, but this person might actually be you enjoy seeing this person maybe a little bit more. They might actually be bigger than the game because the outcome of the game doesn't matter more than you seeing them, whether it's they win or they lose. It matters that you see them more. So Russ is box office. Carmelo Anthony was box office. James was box office. Curry is box office. Bryant was box office. Guys like that. Jordan, box office. Magic was box office. I already said Curry. Yep, absolutely. Curry is box office. So they might be a little bit more important than the game. So I hope I answered your question on that. But when I think about what's going on right now in the NBA, man, I don't know about at least this isn't something that's new, right? So they have an idea on how to handle it. This isn't something that has come about where they see it and they're like, oh my God, what are we going to do about it? No, they know exactly what it is and they know how to handle it. They know how to get in front of it. I actually had somebody step to me with, would they ever consider going back into the bubble? No. Mm-mm. One, the players wouldn't have that. Number two, it would be the entire league going into the bubble, and they don't have enough time to prepare for that, and they don't have the facilities anywhere to prepare for that. So there's no way that would happen. Absolutely not. So they have an idea of how this is gone because it happened the previous season, so they know how to handle it. And I think it's actually a good thing to, and I think it's actually a good thing the way they're handling it, as opposed to just shutting the league down, which it might come to that at some point, even if it's for a week, to just stop playing basketball and to just get all your ducks in a row and handle it accordingly. But now they're talking about stuff like replacement players and guys from the G League, which, to be honest with you, isn't that what the minor leagues are for? Now, you do want to keep the train rolling. All right. You want to keep the train rolling, but is it at the expense of the product? So this isn't a situation that if the players are good enough to be on an NBA floor, I got no problem with it. this isn't. I don't have an issue with G League players coming up, and the reason why I don't have an issue with it is because this isn't a situation like the NBA being on strike, where guys are crossing the picket line. Nah, this ain't like that. This is something where these guys are in protocol, and in the meantime, it's basically like you missing a day of work, and we got to call somebody in to cover you. That's all it is. I don't have a problem with that at all. Nope. I don't have a problem with that at all. No, I do not. My thoughts on Kyrie coming back, Jillian. The Brooklyn Nets. Well, two things are going on here. Brooklyn knows that the window for them to win it, this team is going to be drastically different next year. James Harden comes off the books after this year. Kyrie Irving comes off the books after this year. Kevin Durant, this is who the team is constructed around. He just re-upped. So with Kyrie Irving now coming back and them basically caving, Irv is not getting vaccinated. He is not getting vaccinated, so you can dead that. The idea that he's going to get vaccinated. Despite what you see the team doing, I don't think he's going to do it. I doubt very seriously that he's going to do it. I am concerned with the continuity issue that they're going to have, but more important than the continuity issue, I understand why they did this. They didn't do this just because we need bodies, because Irv isn't vaccinated. So they're not doing it because of that. They're doing it because we got the number one seed in the Eastern Conference, and it's a realistic possibility that we can win it. But we probably can't do it without Irv. So do we buckle and take this chance? Because this could blow up in our face. If this doesn't work, we got to scrap this whole thing, because I don't think that they're going to bring Irv back. I doubt very seriously that they're going to bring him back. And that's why they took the extension off the table. James Harden hasn't been playing the way he's been playing throughout the last 5 years. And I think I think him not taking care of his body and him getting older, all the miles that he has on him, I think that's catching up to him. But even with that being said, them caving and Irv now not playing in home games, this could be problematic in the future. So he's not going to be able to play home games, which is also the Knicks as well, and he's not going to be able to play in Toronto. So today is Monday. We got a game tonight. We got a game Wednesday, and we got a game Saturday in Brooklyn. And then we go on the road for 4 days. No Irv. Is he coming with us? Maybe, maybe not. But he's not playing. Right? I'm sorry, he is playing. We go on the road for 4 days. And he's playing in those days. The 3 games that we have at home, he's not playing in those games. And in the next 4 games when we go on the road, he's going to play in those games. So with that being said, we come back home for another 3 or 4 games, and then Cam Johnson and Patty Mills, they get inserted back into the lineup and they're playing more. So now they're playing good and they're doing their job. And then we go back on the road for 2 days. Well, now they got to come out the lineup again. That's going to be problematic going forward. Absolutely it is. That's going to be problematic going forward, especially considering we got to deal with not just continuity issues, but we got guys playing good. We got guys already in the rotation. And now when Irv comes back, he's going to eat up a lot of those minutes. And that's going to be a problem, a huge problem. So, man. And they're not backing off of that neither. So let's make sure we 100% clear that the New York Knicks, not the New York Knicks, the New York City, New York State, they're not backing off their mandate for the Brooklyn Nets. That's not going to happen. Not at all. Your son's been cooking, man. That ain't new. That is not new. The son's been cooking. And they cooking with gas, too. No doubt about that. The Suns ain't just cooking. They cooking with gas. I still feel like the difference in them winning or losing it is going to be DeAndre Ayton. I think he's going to be the difference. I see what everybody else on that unit is doing. I see what Mikal Bridges is doing. I see what Jay Crowder is doing. I see what Chris Paul, I think Chris Paul lead the league in assists and steals still. So I already know what them dudes is doing. I watched DeAndre Ayton a couple of nights ago. He had 15 and 15. That's a big time game for him. Big time game for him, no doubt. So Yep. So I like I said, I see what Phoenix is doing, and in a 7-game series against, I think that they're just going to get better throughout the season. I do. I think that Phoenix is just going to get better throughout the season, and I'll be real interested to see how they fare in the playoffs. I'm really interested to see that, because they just look like they got it together. They look like they got some chemistry, and a year under your belt and going to the NBA Finals. That's a pretty big deal, man. That is a real big deal. I like what they're doing. Absolutely, I do. Midas, actually, that's not true, man. Anthony Davis was a top 5 player. He just wasn't this year. And I was wrong about that. And I was wrong about that strictly because of what the Lakers brought in. This is a completely different team than what he played on in 1920. Completely different. And I still think that, because I've seen him dominate, and I still think he can be a top 5 player. I've seen him dominate. I saw the 17-18 Anthony Davis, first team All-NBA, first team All-Defense, second in the league in Defensive Player of the Year. I seen him in 1920 lead an NBA championship team in points, rebounds, and blocks. I saw that. And I thought that I was going to get that this season, not realizing the continuity issues that we had, the personnel that was gonna be on the crew, and what exactly his role was going to be. And it was obvious that, it was obvious that his role had changed on the team. They weren't running the offense through him like they were running it through him in 2019-20. It was obvious that wasn't going on. He's doing something completely different now than what he was doing. My issue, I thought, primarily was health. I thought that that's all it was. I thought that this guy's going to come back this season, because they had a short off season. They won the NBA championship, and they basically had less than 2 months to get back to it. He got hurt. They got bounced in the first round. I'm thinking he's got a long off season this year. He's going to come back healthy. He's going to come back super sharp. They're going to run the offense through him like they did in 2019, not realizing that that's a completely different unit than what he had in the 1920 season. They had 10 new guys, completely new guys, and roles have been redefined. And because roles were redefined, that means that his role was redefined, and he just doesn't seem to. He doesn't fit into the role that they looking, because we want him to play on the box. We want him to be mean. We want him to play on the box, and that's not happening. And the reason why that's not happening, I think a lot of that has to do with Jordan being there and Howard, even though Howard was there when he played in 1920, but his role was still defined. Anthony Davis is our guy. That wasn't defined this year. With Russ coming in, with James coming back and being more of I would have thought that. I thought that he would be a lot better this season than he was the year before, and I was wrong about that. I was absolutely wrong about that. I can't say, well, he's averaging 24 and 11. Well, on the surface, it looks like he's still doing work. But in reality, he's not what I thought he was going to be. No, he is not. Now, that could change throughout the course of the season. And I think a lot of him being hurt, I think that's a mental thing more than anything. I absolutely believe that that's a mental thing more than anything, because when I think about his game, like he wasn't getting hurt. He was not getting hurt early in his career. Like when he first came into the league, that wasn't happening. Like he was playing 75 games, 78 games. But then he started getting hurt, right? And in addition to him getting hurt, now it started to mess with him. It's kind of like it's kind of like you being in a compromising situation and somebody tells you that you fat. You're like, I'm not fat. What are you talking about? I'm not fat. Well, one person says that it's not a big deal. Well, you hear it from another person, you're like you're getting fat. It still goes in one ear and out the other. I'm not fat. I'm good. What are you talking about? Well, now 3 people have said it. Then you go change your shirt. Like, nah, I'm good. I'm not fat. Then, now 10 people have said it. Now you start looking at yourself different in the mirror. Am I fat? What's going on here? And now you start wearing clothes to not make yourself look fat. So now this is something that's in your head. So now Anthony Davis has got nicked up early in his career. Now all of a sudden the logic on him is, yo, you made of glass. You brittle. Well, am I brittle? No, I'm not. And then he'll roll an ankle. And see, I told you that this dude is always hurt. Well, now instead of me playing and being more effective, I'm worried about getting hurt. And I'm worried about you being right that I'm brittle. One of the best lines that I heard was from in a movie, Jerry Maguire, Mr. Rod Tidwell. Jerry Maguire said, if you get hurt, you get nothing. And Rod Tidwell said, quote, won't happen. I'm too strong in the mind. And I think that's the problem with Anthony Davis. It's almost like he anticipates it because it's in his head now, because that seed has been planted in his head. So that's where he is with it. I really don't think that he's made of glass. I think that it's been convinced to him that now I'm going to get hurt. So if you think you're going to get hurt, then you're going to get hurt. So, because I don't think he's soft. That's not, I hear a lot of people saying that, the dude is soft. I'm thinking, I don't think he's soft. I do not think he's, to play at that elite of a level defensively and to be that kind of force, you can't be soft. So I don't think he's soft. I just think it's in his head. I think he's in his own head about being hurt. I'm pretty convinced of that. I am. Diaby, you wrong about that, man. Yes, he has been a top 5 player. Yes, he has. He was a top 5 player in 1920. He was. So that's not true, that he was never been a top 5 player. That is not true. The year that the Lakers won the NBA championship, he was a top 5 player that year. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, see, that's nonsense right there, Diaby. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get with you guys in a second. Let me talk to Diaby for a second. Diaby, let me answer this question for me. Anthony Davis led the Lakers the year that they won the NBA championship, because you just said that he was never a top 5 player. Did you just say that? I want to make sure that I'm 100% clear on that. Did you just say that he was never a top 5 player? Yes or no? I only want to talk to Diaby right now, because Diaby is you just said he was not a top 5 player. So the year that the Lakers won the NBA championship, he led them in points, rebounds, and blocks. He led them in points, rebounds, and blocks. So in addition to that, they were the best team in the regular season, and they won the NBA championship. You tell me, you in particular, get out of your feelings. Let's get out of your feelings for a second and how you feel about this guy, this guy, this guy. You tell me the last NBA champion who had a player that led them in points, rebounds, and blocks, and he wasn't a top 5 player in the NBA. I'm listening. Go ahead, Diaby. Go ahead. I'm listening. That's not what I'm asking. You keep saying he wasn't a top 5 player. Name me a guy who was on a championship team that led that team in points, rebounds, and blocks. And his team won the NBA championship and he wasn't a top 5 player. Name him. Go ahead. What's up, Boise? How you doing, brother? Name them. No, they haven't been empty calories, Midas. That's not true. That is not true. That is not true. See, all right, Diaby, we done. I'm done talking to you. We done. I'm done talking to you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I'm done talking to you. So, but those teams were bad. And I can appreciate that, Midas. When you're on a bad team, somebody got to lead a bad team and somebody got to lead a bad team in scoring, somebody got to lead a bad team in rebounding. Now, I don't think his stats were empty in the 17-18 season when they went to the playoffs. I don't believe that. I don't think those was empty stats. I think that those previous years, just like Kevin Love, I just think he was on bad teams. Now, that stuff can accumulate. It's not like I'm not trying to help us win, because I am trying to help us win, right? I am trying to help us win, if that's not fair. I am trying to help us win. It's just so happened that we're on a bad team. So I don't know if that necessarily means that my stats are empty, because I am trying to help us win. So who said that's disrespectful? I don't think it's disrespectful that you think Kobe better than LeBron. I don't agree with you, but I don't think it's disrespectful. It ain't like you said Rudy Gay is better than LeBron or something like that. No, that's not nuts. I don't think it's nuts, though. Absolutely. Absolutely. In 2017. Yeah, he was a top 5 player. That's not your opinion. That's a fact. And not only was he a top 5 player, I watched him dominate that series against the Trailblazers when they swept them out the playoffs. He dominated the series. I think he averaged 32 and 13 in that series. And I mean, Drew Holiday outplayed Dame, no question about that. Dominated Dame, to be quite honest with you. But even still, the difference in that series was Anthony Davis. He destroyed Nurkic and completely dominated the series. So, excuse me, to say that Anthony Davis isn't a top 5, was never a top 5 player, that is not true, sir. That is not true. No, Joker is not a top 3 NBA MVP candidate. No, sir. Diaby, you have not given me a sad. You can't just say that he's not and not come with any facts. That's not good enough, my man. That is not good enough. And we can agree to disagree, but it can't just be he's not because you say he's not. You have not given me any substantial facts to state that he has never been a top 5 player. When I just gave you the facts, and you can't tell me anybody who's done this and has not been a top 5 player. So that's not true, man. That's not. Get out of your feelings, please. That's all I'm asking you to do. When we talk basketball, it's facts over feelings, my man. Joker is not a top 3. He is not. Joker. Okay, this is what I make sure. This is what needs to be clear. This is what I need to make clear. What is your criteria for league MVP? So I'm clear. You could take James Harden off that list in 1920. Absolutely, you could take James Harden off that list in 1920. But anyway, so what is your criteria for what is your criteria for league MVP? Team got to be in the top 5 at least. Okay, keep going. I'm listening. Now we talking. Hold on for a second, plug. We talking strictly right now about Joker being the league, Joker being in the conversation. Once again, what is put up MVP numbers? Okay, there's plenty of guys putting up MVP numbers. Plenty. You know, Zach LaVine is putting up MVP numbers. Jimmy Butler was putting up MVP numbers. That's not enough. What else is there? Great individually, takes team to the next level. Okay, Chuck. Who is above Joker? Okay, let's talk about that for a second. So let's see. We in 2021 because what I'm thinking about right now is I'm thinking about how good Joker is for his unit. Joker's unit is, as of right now, I think they 8th in the Western Conference. So if you carry in your team, that's not the criteria for the NBA. If you just carry in your team, as opposed to your team is a good team. Because remember, with the exception of Russ winning the league MVP in 16-17, with the exception of Russ winning the league MVP in 16-17, he was the only guy since Jabbar did it in 75. That was over 40 years to be on a team. That was, if I'm not mistaken, he was the only guy to be on a team that was not a top 3 team. He's the only guy. Russ was. And the NBA screwed up by giving him the league MVP based on him averaging a triple-double because they didn't give it to him again. So they screwed that up. So with that being said, Joker, his team isn't very good. How good he's playing and him carrying his team, absolutely. But he's not going to be in the conversation strictly because his team isn't very good. So we got to dead that logic about him being in the conversation. Unless his team gets better, he's not going to be in the conversation. However you feel about him, however you feel about him right now, because I think what's Joker 26, 14, 6. Because I think he leads Denver in everything, and I think he's tied with Aaron Gordon he leads them in every category, and he's tied with Aaron Gordon for blocks. So with that being said, right? So with that being said, he's absolutely the catalyst. He's everything to them. He's the MVP for the Denver Nuggets. Is he more valuable to that unit than DeMar DeRozan is to Chicago? Is he more valuable to that unit? Is he more valuable to that unit than Kevin Durant is in Brooklyn? Is he more valuable to that unit than Giannis is in Milwaukee? Is he more valuable than Steph Curry? These are the guys that are ahead of him. Now, I can appreciate the work that he's doing. That goes without saying. That absolutely goes without saying. If that's true, great, right? If that's true that he's more valuable, then they should be winning more. Because if he was more valuable, then they would be winning more. That's the difference. That is the difference. What did I miss, Steady? Hold on. Did I miss something? Denver bad because Joker missed games. Rush finished 6th and won the league MVP. He got the best PER right now ever. No, I'm not going to stop it, Steady. You know why I'm not going to stop it? Because you know what you're going off of? This is what you're going off of. You're going off what he's doing individually. Okay, you take Joker off that unit. Fine. Take Joker off that unit and they're losing. Absolutely. Take Kevin Durant off Brooklyn. You think that they don't take a dip? Take Giannis off of Milwaukee and absolutely go to the bottom of the Eastern Conference. It's not a coincidence that they're right back in the race now that everybody's gotten healthy, particularly Giannis. Absolutely. Don't tell me to calm down, Perez. If you're going to be in here, you're going to have to get on our page, my man. Before we go any further, if you're going to be in here, you're going to have to get on our page because this is what we do around here, B. This is what we do. We passionate about basketball. So, as I was saying, I can appreciate his PER. I can appreciate the work that he's doing. I can appreciate Denver being the 6th seed. I thought they were the 8th seed, but the 6th seed. That's not good enough, B. That is not good enough according to the NBA standards. That is not good enough because now what has to happen is if we're doing it like that, then now we got to start doing it for everybody that's on mediocre teams that's doing work. And winning doesn't matter. That's how we have to do it from now on. How am I arguing with my feelings? I'm arguing facts. The fact is, there has not been, with the exception of Russell Westbrook, there has not been a league MVP since 1975 that has been on a team that has finished less than 3rd. There has not been. That's not my feelings. That's fact, fam. What are we talking about here? That's absolute fact. One more time for the people in the cheap seats. Since with the exception of Russell Westbrook in 16-17, since 1975, that's over 50 years, there has not been a league MVP who's been on a team that's been less than 3rd in any conference, the Western or the Eastern Conference. That's a fact. Yeah, Steph Curry was in the MVP race last year. He led the league in scoring, and they were in 8th. Steph Curry was in the MVP conversation last year, and he led the league in scoring, and they were in 8th place. I thought that was nuts. Well, see now, miles away, we're talking about something completely different because now what we're doing, that's a really good question, miles away. And the reason why I say that is because now what we're doing is we changing the dynamic and we changing the criteria, which I would be all for that. I'm not on the fence about that. I love how they do it in baseball. I love how they do it in football. Absolutely. In baseball, it's the best player. It don't matter who it is. Your team could be in next to last place. Your team could be in 1st place. Your team could be in 3rd place. Who the best player in the league? That's the league MVP. In football, it's the best player on the best team or a guy who's doing something ridiculous, like Adrian Peterson, who ran for 2,000 yards in 2012. Other than that, it's the best player on the best team, and it's usually a quarterback. There's some definition there. In the NBA, the one thing in the NBA that they've nailed down, you have to be on a winning team. That is imperative. They screwed that up with Russ in 16-17 because he did something that was, and I still have a problem with that because, like I said, man, if you were basing it on that, he should have won the MVP 4 more times because he did it 4 more times. I mean, he did it 3 more times after that. So I don't get it. Steady, what is his PER? So if you don't mind me asking, what? Because you said he's got the best PER of all time. What is his PER right now? If you don't mind me asking, because last I checked, I think Giannis had the best PER in 1920 when he won the league. No, it was either 18-19 or 19-20 when he won the league MVP. and he was Defensive Player of the Year. So what is and I think Giannis's PER that year was like 31 or something like that. That doesn't and that doesn't hold any weight with me. The fact of who you're playing with, I can appreciate that. I got no problem with that. I got no problem with who you're playing with. I don't have a problem with that. I got to look at who you're playing with. What has to happen though? You still, in order for you, because I think what's getting confused here is him being the league MVP and being in the conversation. All right. Him being in the conversation, absolutely. When you got a guy that's 26, 14, and 6, and he basically leads his team in every major category, he absolutely should be in the conversation. Does he have a legit shot at winning it? No. Unless Denver gets better, no, he does not. He does not. Mm-hmm. I wonder how old this dude is, man. Because what I have in here, yo, I got people in here. Then why didn't James win it in 17, 18? Because Cleveland was in 4th place. 4th. That's why he didn't win it. So, like I told you, they had already established that in 16, 17 with Russ. Remember, James Harden won it. When James Harden won it, Houston was in 1st place. Where they were in 1st place. So I did know that. Mm-hmm. Before it's all said and done, you might be able to make that argument that Joker is more skilled than Olajuwon. Olajuwon was a better athlete than him. Absolutely. He was a better scorer than Joker. But that's the difference, Donahue. It's not what you think it should be. It's actually what it is. It's absolutely what it is. When was the last time a big man averaged 7 assists? Oh, Chamberlain did it in 67, 68. He averaged 8. He averaged 8, almost 9 assists. He actually led the league in assists, and that was over 60 years ago. So that was the last time a big man did that. To answer your question, my criteria for NBA great Elon is way different than how the NBA. My criteria is what football is. My criteria for MVP is what baseball is. I think it should be the best player. I absolutely believe it should be the best player. I'm not. I'm not into that. I can appreciate how the league is constructed, but for me, I have such a difficult time watching guys who perform at a high level year after year and get overlooked. But I understand what I do understand what the NBA is trying to do. We have a situation where it's voter fatigue because we'd be giving it to the same guy every year. But if you're the best player in the game, you should be winning the league MVP more. I'm glad you mentioned that, great Elon, because I have a different idea of who the best player is and who's playing the best. So there was a stretch when Curry was playing the best. There was a stretch when KD was playing the best. I think Giannis is the best player in the game. I think that he is the best player in the game. But that goes without saying. And until at the end of the not if the season ended today, I think that the league MVP would go to Kevin Durant. Brooklyn is at the top of the league, and they're there primarily because of him. Giannis is not overrated, man. What makes you what gives you the eye? Let me talk to King for a little bit, guys. King, why do you think Giannis is overrated? What about Giannis suggests that he's overrated? So I'm clear. That's a big time stat, too, random. Big time stat. I absolutely think Wilt. I got Wilt in the top 5. That's just me, but I want to talk to King because I want to find out why Giannis is overrated. So Brooklyn has dropped to 3rd. Because he has no jump shot and gets bailed out by Middleton in key situations. That's not true, man. That is not true. He didn't get bailed out in the NBA Finals when he had 50. He didn't get bailed out in the Eastern Conference Championship. Even though he got hurt, they were going to sweep. They were going to beat Atlanta in 5 games before he got hurt. He didn't get bailed out against Miami when they mopped the floor with Miami and swept them out the playoffs. He didn't get bailed out in 18-19 when he was the best, when he averaged 28 a game and 13 rebounds. Overrated? Milwaukee had the #1 seed in the 19-20 season. He got hurt in the play. He got hurt in the bubble against Miami. That is not fair, man. That is not fair for you to say that. What happened versus Brooklyn? They beat them. What do you mean what happened against Brooklyn? Just so you know, he averaged 40 a game against Brooklyn in the regular season. And I think he averaged 29 last year in the playoffs against Brooklyn. 29 and 13 against them. And they beat Brooklyn. So what is your point? That he's overrated? That is not true, my man. That is not true, sir. Absolutely not. Mm-mm. You didn't tell me that he was made of glass, Giannis. Jonas, do not say that. No, you did not say that. No, you did not. KD did not play better than him. KD scored more. That doesn't mean he outplayed him. Just because you score more. Giannis did a lot more than KD did in that series. The difference in that series was Kyrie Irving getting hurt. That was the difference in that series. And Milwaukee took advantage of that. Milwaukee absolutely took advantage of that. No doubt. I disagree. We don't know who Kawhi gonna be when he comes back. I think Kawhi's a top 5 player when he's healthy. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely, I believe that. So no, miles away, it wouldn't be ridiculous to say that Carmelo. See, here's the thing, Miles. When you say that, Carmelo Anthony in his prime was a top 3 scorer, people forget what they're focused on right now is right now. They forget that I can make an argument that Carmelo Anthony from 08, which was the year that they went to the West Finals, right? From 08 to 13, Carmelo Anthony was the best one-on-one player in the game. And I stand on that. And I saw what Kevin Durant was doing. I saw what LeBron James was doing. I saw what Kobe Bryant was doing. I think that Carmelo Anthony was the best one-on-one player in the game. No doubt. But it's interesting you say that too, King, because he did beat him. So are you telling me right now while I'm talking to you, is it your statement, is it your testimony right now that when Kawhi Leonard beat him in the 18-19 season, Giannis is the same dude he was 3 years ago that he is today? Is that your testament? That's what I'm asking you right now. You think he's the same guy he was 3 years ago? See what I'm talking about, man? This is what I mean. We have to have impartiality, yo. You must be. Are you a Brooklyn fan, King? Answer this question for me, King, because I need to understand exactly where we're coming from here. Do you support a particular team? You want to know what changed? Absolutely. He got smarter. His mid-range game got better. He got better in transition. He even became a better defensive player. He became an all-around better player. There's no way that I could look at Giannis and see the guy today and say that's the same dude 3 years ago. There is no way that I can say that. And of course, if I said that about Kevin Durant, it would be completely different. King, if you're going to talk to me, man, you can't be – this can't work, man. It can't. Because if you're going to talk to me, we got to talk basketball on an unbiased level. I'm biased when it comes to certain things, but there are things that I have to accept, right? There are certain things that I have to recognize. So, and the thing that I have to recognize is Giannis is not for you to look at him and say that's the same dude. If I went and broke out some film of him, not even from the Eastern Conference Championship. Let's take the Eastern Conference Championship off the table. Giannis from 18-19, and I broke out some film from today, and you're going to tell me that that's the same dude from 3 years ago. Okay, so the only thing that changed was his jump shot. Was that an Achilles heel for him? Was that something that needed to improve in order for him to get to the next level? Is that not fair? And did it not improve? Yes or no? There's no way I don't see the same guy that I saw 3 years ago. I don't. I do not see the same guy. He doesn't have to shoot it at a high level. He shoots it at a respectable level. Because I'm not the same guy that I was then. That's why. It has improved. So because my jump shot is improved, that means my overall game is going to improve. And he's gotten smarter. So, well, I've said this since the 17-18 season. I said it, and I stand on it. I think that for the better part of 4 years, I think Jrue Holiday is the best perimeter defender in the game. And I stand on that. Kevin Durant is not an underrated defender. You know what underrated means? You know why people underrate you? People underrate you because you don't do it on a consistent basis. It's interesting how LeBron James isn't underrated as a defender. It's interesting how Giannis isn't underrated as a defender. It's interesting how Jrue Holiday, Kawhi Leonard, Rudy Gobert, it's interesting how these guys aren't underrated as defenders. You know why? Because they do it on a consistent basis. Kevin Durant does it here, then he won't do it here, and he won't do it here. Then he'll do it a little bit here. Then he'll do it a little bit there. Then it's not consistent. So we don't know exactly how to rate you. When you are consistent, you know what else isn't underrated about Kevin Durant? His scoring isn't underrated. And you know why his scoring isn't underrated? Because he does it on a consistent basis. If he defended on a consistent basis, I bet you that it wouldn't be underrated. I bet you that. I did know that. In 4 to 5 different categories. I did know that. Scottie Pippen led the Bulls in steals, assists. He was higher than Jordan in blocks. Yeah, Jordan was and rebounds too. I think he is. And the reason why I feel like that is I can appreciate Leonard. I can appreciate, and I'm a huge Leonard fan. I'm not a big Leonard fan. I'm a huge Leonard fan. Absolutely. I'm a huge Leonard fan. The thing that I concern myself with more than anything, I don't know if Leonard gonna hold up for another 5 years. I just don't. I don't think he is. I think Scottie Pippen was a better all-around player than Kawhi Leonard. I think Kawhi was a better scorer than him. I think Scottie was a better defender. I think he was a better passer. I think he was a better facilitator. I think he was better in transition. I think he was a better all-around player than him. See, King, that's more stuff that suggests how one-sided you are. KD doesn't give up on defense. And if he doesn't give up on defense, then why is he underrated? Why isn't he rated higher as a defender? Why? That's interesting. I don't think so. I wouldn't be surprised, Joe. I would not be surprised because here's the thing about Anthony Davis. When I think about Anthony Davis, who do you think about, right? Who do you think about when you think about the big man? Like when Anthony Davis in that uniform, who do you see? You see Shaq wore that uniform before he did. Jabbar wore that uniform before he did. Chamberlain wore that uniform. So he's segueing in, especially considering that they just won the NBA championship, back. He's going to segue into being the next great big man. Only except that's not him. So when you think about Chamberlain, when you think about Jabbar, when you think about Shaq, you've never made a sentence. You've never said anything about any of those 3 guys and had their name and soft in the same sentence. Never. And again, I don't think Anthony Davis is soft, but the fact that you even mention that about him suggests that he's not in that class. And maybe we looking at him, we shouldn't be looking at him like we look at him. Maybe we shouldn't. Guess so neither. When I was a kid, the best on-ball defender that I ever seen was Sidney Moncrief. And then it was Michael Cooper, and then it was Jordan. And then from Jordan, then it became Scottie Pippen. And then it was Scottie Pippen for a long, even Gary Payton. Gary Payton's the best on-ball point guard defender that I've ever seen. But Scottie Pippen, in terms of being a disruptor, on-ball disruptor, he was incredible. Absolutely. See, King, this is exactly why Scottie Pippen says what he says, because of what you're saying right now. No, I didn't want to argue. You want to argue that. What do you mean in the top 20? I don't understand what you mean. I think Scottie Pippen's a better passer than Leonard. I think he's a better leader than Leonard. I think he's a better distributor than Leonard. I think he's a better playmaker than Leonard. I think he's a better on-ball defender than Leonard. Even though Leonard is a defensive player of the year, I think he's a better overall player than Kawhi Leonard. I think Leonard is a better scorer. I will give him that, absolutely. I think Scottie Pippen's ability to completely disrupt your offense from 1 through 5 to take on the challenge. Scottie Pippen's ability to defend is different from other guys because a lot of people recognize defense as just being on the ball. Scottie, his ability to defend is completely different, where he throws you off rhythm. He tries to keep the ball away from you. And when you do get the ball, his hands stay busy, his feet are moving, so he can get you off balance. That's who he is. Well, I'll tell you what, Dre, nobody cares about any of those games. You know why? Because the Bucks beat them in the playoffs last year. So nobody cares that Tom Brady lost 4 of his last 5 games against the Bucks. Nobody care about that. You know why? Because when they see him in the divisional round and they lose and they beat the Saints, nobody cares about that. I still think Anthony Davis is the top 20 player in today's game. I do. I mean, let's not. He might not be the top 5 player that I thought he was, going to be, but I can't name 15 guys better than him. I can't name 20 guys better than him. No, I can't do that. No way. I can't do that. How is Pippen better than Kawhi? But Durant, when the only thing Durant does better is score as well. I think Scottie. See, you got a lot of people. You got a lot of people who they rate Kevin Durant higher strictly because his ability to score. And I think I fall into that category. I think that Scottie Pippen is a better all-around player than a lot of these guys. Absolutely. I do. But when I think about what Kevin Durant has done and his impact to his impact on the game and his ability to score, how much different he makes the game for other people, that gives him the edge because his ability to score is different. I would much rather, if I had to choose a guy in terms of being and not just being just being a number 2 guy, because that's who Scottie Pippen is. Scottie Pippen is not a guy who's the lead. He's not James. He's not he's not a number 1. He is a number 2, but he's probably the best number 2. So that's a big deal. Good to see you, Darrell. My man. Good to see you. Kobe Bryant was not a number 2. No, Kobe Bryant was not a number 2. Why do you think? Let's get to the bottom of this right now. Okay. And we're going to end this discussion. We're going to end this right here. Kobe Bryant, quote, "Everybody expected me to level off my play and do the same thing that I did last year. But I'm not going to do that. I worked too hard on my game to improve, and I want to show that I've improved." Which means in English, I'm not Robin. I'm better than that. And I want to show that I'm better than that. So Kobe Bryant was not a number 2. No, he might not have been the best player on the team at that particular time, but he was not a number 2, and I will not put him in that category, and I will not allow you to make me put him in that category because he was not that. No way. Mm-mm. Kawhi was not number 2 in the Raptors. He was the man. Knock that off. No, he was not, sir. Mm-mm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir, we do. You doing it tonight at 8? Doing it tonight at 8 o'clock. Yes, sir. Wasabi sauce, come on, man. That's a rhetorical question, and it's dumb to even ask that. So knock it off. Nobody said that Scottie Pippen was a number one. You are the one trying to stir up some nonsense about him being a number one. Nobody said that. Nobody in here said that. Nobody in here suggested that. So knock it off. That's nonsense to even say that. So absolutely. I'm gonna get moving though. I don't think he was. Pippen was capable of being a number one. He was number one in the 93-94 season. And they did go, he took them as far as he could. He took them to the conference semifinals. So that's not true. He was the best player on that team. Absolutely. I'm about to bounce too, Joe. It's good to see you, my man. Hope to see you again soon. Absolutely. That is not true, King. That is not true because he was the number one. Now, what you need to do, King, is you need to redefine that statement because Pippen is capable of being a number one. The question is how far are you capable of leading a team? Just because I didn't bring us to the NBA championship doesn't mean I wasn't a number one. So let's dead that argument right there. That's not true. And just because you took a team to the NBA championship doesn't mean just because you did that, you're number one and this person is not. We can build it around you. I just couldn't get us as far as I would like to have gotten us. So no. Mm-mm. What went 7 games? The conference semifinals against the Knicks? Absolutely, it went 7 games. Yes, it did. And the Western Conference Championship against the Lakers, that went 7 games too. Mm-hmm. That absolutely did. Are they planning to rebuild? I gotta see what happens, William. Adam, I gotta see what happens with Indiana. I'm real interested to see what happens by the trade deadline. If they blow that thing up, then absolutely. Kawhi took Giannis to 6 and Curry to 6. That's goaded. It's interesting you mentioned that. So I like how you leave out that. I like how you leave out that KD was hurt in that series. I like how you leave out that they replaced one guy on that Milwaukee unit. They replaced one guy of the guys that they had on that Milwaukee unit. They replaced one guy. Bledsoe come out. Drew Holiday goes in. Right? They didn't get PJ Tucker till later, but they replaced that guy, and all of a sudden they're a championship team. You got a guy like Leonard who has the luxury of playing with Tony Parker, Ginobili, and Tim Duncan in their prime, by the way. He has the luxury of doing that. And then he gets on this Toronto team, which, by the way, let's make sure that let's not talk like this Toronto team. Excuse me, because it's interesting you guys mentioned context too. Thank you very much. Because it's interesting you mentioned context because the year before that, that Toronto team did win 59 games and they were in first place in the Eastern Conference. And I can't reiterate this more than once, more than twice. The boogeyman was gone from the Eastern Conference. That's very important to mention. No, they didn't win 55. They won 59 games. They didn't win 55. They won 59. So that's not true. Wednesday, steady. I'll be on Wednesday night again. Yep, absolutely. So Number one in the Eastern Conference, too. Not just a nearly 60-win team. Number one in the Eastern Conference. They take one guy out the lineup, DeMar DeRozan, put in Leonard. They traded Valanciunas later on in the season. They ain't trade him right then and there. They traded him at the deadline for Marc Gasol. So it's about that time for me, though, guys. Absolutely. It is. I got to meet my man Tony Tone tonight on TikTok. And I got to meet my man Tony Tone tonight on TikTok at 8 o'clock. But I'll see you guys again. Let's see, today's Monday. I'll see you on Wednesday. Yeah. I'll see you on Wednesday, and we'll get it cracking again, guys. This is good stuff. I know how y'all get down, and I enjoy it. So, all right, guys, until then, take it light. Take it.